Are you a fan of horror, of scary, of suspense and thrillers? If you are, today my guest is a great friend of mine. His name is Mike Lera. He is an author of the scary, the suspenseful, and the creepy. We will be talking about what it takes to become a writer, what his influences are, and where you can find some of his scary movies and scary stories, especially since we're getting into the Halloween season. That was weird. Hello, and welcome back to Multifaceted with Tiffany Walker. And today my guest is Mike Lera. How are you doing today, Mike?
Oh, fine, thank you.
Yeah, so Mike is an author, he's a screenwriter, and a journalist. So Mike, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how did you get into writing?
It started way back, of course, I was a kid, like a lot of other writers, 8 years old, third grade, Miss Kramer, having us write stories for the class. And
third grade teachers, you hear that?
Yeah,
See? All right, we're making impact.
Yes. So you never know who you might create, So, from there, I just kept writing, just never stopped, So, I finally coined it. I was 12 when I finally coined it. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go with life. Career day.
Wow, you were 12 when you knew what you wanted to do?
Sixth grade, career day. We had a big old poster boards of, I had writer on there. So, and then, been writing ever since. So, journalism major and with the intent of one day creating my own stories. And, it was funny because in college it was a choice between English, journalism, or radio, television, and film. I chose journalism as more of a practical means, because English is hard to get a job. And
so you made the choice more out of, okay, how can I make money versus what you really wanted to major in?
Pretty much, yeah. It was more about how can I get my name out there more. It wasn't really much of the money.
Okay, so when you went to college, you did journalism. Did you do any kind of writing right out of college? What did that look for you right after? Because I want to get into how you got into your current genre, which is you write horror fiction.
Yes.
So how did that transition from journalism into writing horror fiction?
My first gig, my first job out of college, you're going to love this. Very exciting stuff. It was editing insurance laws,
What? Editing insurance laws?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Man, that's probably a whole different
Fascinating,
podcast.
Though. That's
Yeah.
Huh. You never think about people who do stuff like that. Like when you're reading the little fine print, who has to look at that and edit it? That was you. Oh.
Yeah, Walters Kluwer, very Walters Kluwer type stuff, and Affleck, that kind of thing. So
Affleck.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that was the first gig, so you can see why I was just really hungry to get out of that. It was like I was like a caged animal in that place, and so I worked that job, and then I decided to go back to I went back to after some freelancing for I was freelancing for martial art magazines.
Did you do martial arts?
I did.
Are you like a black belt?
I was almost a black belt when I was younger, and the school.
How far did you get?
I got to red belt, which is a step down from black.
Oh, it's a purple belt in Taekwondo, though.
Yes, kickboxing for me.
Okay.
It was kickboxing, karate, a good mixture of the both, and it was awesome. Aside from my writing, martial arts is my other little passion and stuff.
Oh,
so
look at you. Do you still do it currently, or are you like on a hiatus?
I don't practice formally, but I do keep myself in shape. So if and whenever I go back to practicing, I
fight people on the street.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, after years of writing for, because for years I was freelancing for kung fu magazines.
Yeah.
Without ever taking up kung fu, they always assumed I was because of my writing style.
And you're like, I'm not going to contradict you guys. I am a master.
Yeah. Not to get political, but there are a lot of people. They were getting a lot of articles. They had to kind of rewrite some of the stuff. You know what I mean? Because and so with me, they said, "Oh man, this guy's and so they're assuming I knew the arts of kung fu." So
wow, look at you.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing, and then I just decided, I went back to grad school, and I was taking a narrative writing class, and
What kind of writing?
It was called narrative writing.
Oh, uh-huh.
And all it was coming up was writing short stories. And the instructor was an accomplished short story. He published short stories, and great guy, very very good mentor. And I just started writing short stories and started publishing them for independent publications, and still do it, And it's led to other little opportunities as well.
So you've written for like magazines. You've written what is the anthologies?
Yes. So my main goal whenever I grow up, novels and feature films. So right now,
So you do want to write novels and you want to write movies.
Yes.
You want to do both.
Yes.
And okay, I was going to ask you about that because you've done some short films.
Yes.
When did you do your first short film? Like, what made you start that?
Oh gosh, this was some years ago. This is about 4 years ago. I was doing
4 years ago.
Yes.
That's pretty recent.
Yes. So it was a movie. What was it? It was a gal that I met, of all places, church. She was a fellow horror fan, as I was. I'm a huge horror fan.
That's a great place to meet horror fans, is that church, huh?
Yeah, right? It was, So, I've been a horror fan since I was 5.
Since you were 5?
Yes.
Wait, you started watching scary movies at 5?
I did, yes. Probably even earlier. Probably I was 4. I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay, what was your first scary movie?
Probably The Shining with Jack Nicholson.
I'm not going to lie. I had to start. I didn't have to, but I started watching scary movies pretty young, too.
Yeah.
And The Shining was classic.
Yeah.
I'll never get over the twins.
Yeah.
And the elevator with all the blood coming out.
Oh, man. Well, for me, it was Jack Nicholson. That's what did it for me.
Jack Nicholson's amazing. He was one of my favorite actors during that time because he's so incredible.
Yeah. Oh, man. It was fantastic. Stanley Kubrick, genius. So just a good blend of like supernatural, paranormal with slasher film type of noir, So,
is that your favorite horror movie?
Oh, I like them all. I love them all.
No. But what's your favorite?
If I can pinpoint it, gosh, I'd probably say paranormal movies.
Paranormal.
Yeah, paranormal, supernatural kind of stuff. Most of my short stories have been off of paranormal and supernatural things like that. Twilight Zone type things.
I loved the Twilight Zone growing up. I used to watch all the marathons. Like, I think it was it Thanksgiving that they had like the holiday special.
Thanksgiving, 4th of July.
Talking Tina.
Yeah. Oh man.
I loved all of those.
I mean, the black and white ones, just to clarify. Not all the remakes, 1980s remakes. There was the early 2000 remakes. There was the recent remakes, which was okay.
So let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on Black Mirror?
Well, I think it's more of Outer Limits. Which I never, honestly, to be honest with you, I've never seen a single Outer Limits episode. It's weird. I don't know why. They didn't run them when I was a kid, hardly. So I have to catch up on. I've never seen one episode of Outer Limits.
But do you like Black Mirror?
I do like Black Mirror. I do like Black Mirror. Personally, I saw the first season, half the second season. It's a little limited. On. It's just strictly technology. It's just strictly it's more sci-fi, and kind of wish they, from what I've seen so far, veer more into like other stuff other than just sci-fi tech stuff.
Well, maybe keep going. What I find fascinating is Twilight Zone definitely was, of its generation, the ideas of what they knew at that time.
Yeah.
And I think Black Mirror kind of touches on where we're at as a society when it comes to technology.
Right.
And we come to like, how far are people willing to like go with using technology? I find it very fascinating. But okay, so you like paranormal, and I want to go back to your first film. Now, is this a paranormal film that you did?
The first short film was called The Shell, and it's a paranormal. It's sort of like What Lies Beneath meets The Ring.
The Ring. That's the one that took me out of scary movies forever.
Yes,
I used to watch them, and then I saw The Ring.
Yeah, the first one.
That like took me out.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. This is based upon a seashell, and it's basically about a little boy who finds a seashell one day in the ocean, and he puts it to his ear and hears voices. These two kids, and. But as the short film unfolds, we learn, just like he does, that voices of children are not the only things that come out of the shell. Other little
oh my gosh,
creepy crawly things, So.
And we can see this on your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, you can see the preview.
The
and
preview.
Stuff. Yeah, yeah. We're actually still not finished with this movie yet.
Okay.
We started this like years ago and stuff. We're still trying to. We're actually in the very last stages. We're doing some ADR work on it. The director and I, we kept putting it off for other stuff that we were working on throughout the years, and the pandemic broke out, that kind of stuff. So we're just now finalizing and getting it done. So.
How many films have you done so far?
Four films. So there's another movie called Frames, another movie called Provoke, another movie called
Which is in film festivals right now as well.
Provoke is in film festivals as we speak. Imaginist, a movie that I was the executive producer on. My first time being executive producer and writer. I wrote it, so it's my baby. That's currently in film festivals. It'll be out in a theater. It's making its premiere next Saturday, the 13th.
August 13th,
Wish it was
2022.
Wish it was a day before.
Of course. That would be perfect.
Yes. But as long as there is a 13 in there somewhere, so. But it's going to be great. Imaginist is one of my pet projects. It's about a mime, spooky mime character. And based on all these movies, by the way, are based upon short stories I published in publications. The Shell, actually not Provoke. Provoke was from a different, from the director. That was her. Her
This is Bernadette, right?
Bernadette Speaks. She also directed Imaginist, and
she's an amazing woman. By the way,
she is.
She'll be on our show soon as well.
Oh, I hope so, man.
Yeah.
Yes, please. But yeah, then Frames is also a short film that was based on a short story that I also wrote and published. So, but yeah. So I love writing. I love writing my stories and publications, and then just making them into screenplays. It makes it a little bit more easier that way.
Who do you think influences your work?
Oh gosh, man. Well, I mean, I would have to say hands down, Rod Serling is a big influence of mine. Rod Serling, Richard Matheson, who co-wrote a lot of the Twilight Zone episodes. He did Trilogy of Terror as well with the little Zuni doll type stuff.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. I Am Legend is another one of his works. Stir of Echoes, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say Richard Matheson. H.P. Lovecraft.
Wow. So let me ask you this: you have these really great influences who have also they've written television, they've written and things that have been intriguing people for many years. So for you, what does your process of writing look like? Do you have an idea and you write it out, or do you just start writing? What does that look like?
Okay, well, I think kind of like when I was in college, when I would have exams coming up or projects or stuff that I had to study for, I'd always look at it as time. I was like, okay, I go by the week, or actually I go by the day. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I secure 3 to 4 hours today. That goes towards my craft. Now it could be writing, it could be researching, it could be reading, but of some sort of way that goes towards my writing. And so sometimes I make 3 or 4 hours, sometimes I don't. But the bare minimum I try to get at least 2 in there. But yeah, I think setting up those kind of times on a daily.
It's so important to have that discipline because otherwise, if you try to make time for it, it gets away from you. So it's like you have to be intentional about your writing.
You have to.
That's a really great discipline to have, Mike. Yeah.
Well, especially when you're like myself, who have a day job and stuff. It can be very fleeting. It can be very fleeting if you don't treat it like a job.
No, it absolutely is.
It's not gonna happen. It really is. That's what a lot of people say to themselves. Oh yeah, I'll do it, and just I'll do it. And the next thing you know,
it's
5 years goes by.
Exactly, right? Oh, I'll get to it. And then you never do. And by that time, your idea has changed, just shifted. You don't like it anymore.
Well, and then you also got to factor in, there's a lot of life stuff,
Of course,
you gotta cook for yourself. You gotta clean up after yourself. You gotta do laundry. You gotta, pay bills. You gotta go grocery shopping. You got to do, make car maintenance, which is what I was just doing right now, And so, there's a valid reason why professionals such as writers, actors, directors, any professional artists who are actually making a living doing what they're doing, there's a valid reason why they hire personal assistants, so they can do all this.
Absolutely.
So they can hire all those life things. But unfortunately, people like myself who can't afford that right now, you have no choice but to say, okay, I have no choice but to set these many hours. I'm gonna trade time, not steal time for myself. If I can't get in it today, well, it's gonna have to spill over into one of these days throughout the week.
So let me ask you this: when you set aside this time for writing, you're disciplined and making sure you carve that time out for yourself.
Yeah.
Where do your ideas come from?
Well, hate to beat a dead horse, but a lot of Rod Serling's work, not just the Twilight Zone, but Night Gallery type stuff.
But do you have like a dream? Are you driving one day? Like for me, a lot of my work comes from my personal experiences, right? Like either as an educator, as a friend, as in my daily life circumstances, I have these ideas. Sometimes I even have dreams that I do. I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be hilarious. Stand up. That was all my life experience. But sometimes for some of my films, some of my writing, it comes from, I had this crazy dream. Mm-hmm. And then I'm able to flush out the rest of it through my writing. And that's what inspires me. For you, is it just, I watched this Twilight Zone episode and now I want to write something of my own? Or
yeah, that's a piece of it. Kind of like, kind of what you're saying. I'm driving one day, or I'm walking down the sidewalk, and then a situation happens, or a circumstance I see at a coffee shop, and it's like, what, that that actually make a pretty good story,
Mm-hmm.
That actually be, kind of cool, just things out of life at a general. I find that things that that happen to us are very common make some of the best stories and stuff, things like that, or even watching bad movies, yeah, seriously,
bad movies.
When you watch,
I love bad movies.
Yeah, when you watch a bad, I think that some of the best places where I go to is I call my little fishing hole, is watching a bad independent movie that just went this way, but thinking, what, I think I'm gonna maybe take some of that concept and can make it go this way, in the right way, in my way, So yeah. So I think that's another source for me, is watching a bunch of other people's stories, whether good or bad, and just saying, what, that was a decent idea, but I think I can make it a little bit better and tweak it, So.
Now, on your website, you have a lot of trailers. Not a lot. I would say you have trailers for your shorts. You have trailers from stories that you've written. Yeah. Ink.
Yes.
That's like a short, what do you call that? Minute Macabre? Did I say that right? I did go to school, but some words I'm working on.
Oh, yeah. I think you're talking about my little Minute Macabre. Yeah. It's under my, there's a few of them that you can catch on YouTube. I do have a former name, my legal name, my real name is Michael Lizarraga. That when I was
starting, I like how you said that.
Yeah, did you like that? It's about as bilingual as I get. No, but I was using Michael Lizarraga as when I first started off, so you'll catch a few of those under that name, and that's where I was starting. I was kind of using it. It's pretty cool. I have a great editor, Buck Estes. And
Buck, you've seen him on here.
Yes, yeah. Just so he's been my editor for the past since like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So he does a lot of these what's called sizzlers, and I also hire different artists, that could actually draw really good and stuff. And then Deborah Juarez she does the voice, she does the narration, and she has a very clear, crisp, just a very golden voice and stuff. And so and so with all of us acting as a team on that, we come up with these pretty cool little 1 minute concept videos. It's sort of like when you were like watching Sesame Street as a kid. They would have, I don't know, it might have been like Reading Rainbow and stuff.
Yeah.
When they'd have a camera,
little snippets.
They would take a little. They'd take like illustrations of a book and a camera, and they'd go through like that. With the narrators. It's kind of like that. It's sort of like that. So it's sort of kind of a backdoor side way of doing it. But
so you've done a lot of different. You've done your kung fu writing. You've edited for law insurance. That's crazy. Yeah, so you have kind of a pretty diverse writing background, and what are you like currently working on, since you want to write a novel and you also want to write a feature?
Yeah.
And I know sometimes when we have our hands in a lot of different things, it can be hard to focus on something like a novel or a feature film. So what are you currently working on?
Well, finishing up my novel, my first novel. I started it just before the pandemic, about two and a half years ago, actually. And
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I've been piecing it. So I'm down to the last couple chapters. It's a YA novel. It's called Something's in There.
I love YA.
Yeah, it's called Something's in There. So I had to. It's actually the shell, the short film that I'm getting finished. So it's that, but I don't.
You're turning it into a novel?
Yes, but I don't want to.
I can't wait.
You know, with YA and stuff, I took I took the master class of Goosebumps author
R.L. Stein.
R.L. Stein.
So
and he was advising, you got to two things you got to do. You got to come up with a catchy title and catchy front cover. That's what's going to sell YA. And I figured my kind of storytelling, you have to be very self-aware. You know, when you're writing, who's going to read this and why. That's the number two things. You got to who's going to read your work
audience,
and why. Your audience. It's just that's like 80% right there, if not 85%. And I had to really come to terms. I'm like, you know what? Really, I don't think an adult. Not that it's crummy or bad. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. But an adult, 35, 40-year-old, I was not going to run and sit down and listen to who you are. So, but a 16-year-old, a 16-year-old might, what I mean, say, this is kind of cool, and I'm like a big kid, and so I want to tell stories that are cool, and so I've been picking up a lot of YA novels and kind of just reading them, devouring them, and just saying, what, and just
what have you been reading?
I've been reading some of R.L. Stein's Fear Streets, and kind of getting into those.
Did you read Christopher Pike?
I have not.
So I read a ton of books growing up. I mean, I love reading. I'm an avid reader.
Okay.
And growing up, I read Christopher Pike and R.L. Stein. They were very similar. Oh. And Christopher Pike had this book called Chain Letter.
Okay.
It was one of the scariest books I ever read as a kid. I can't tell you all the details, but I just remember that, there's a group of kids that would get these different letters, and, it's kind of that, if you don't do this, and if you don't give it to so-and-so, this would happen. And it was just crazy. But I loved his books. I loved R.L. Stein. Those were two of my, favorite young adult, scary books.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes.
You should check out Christopher Pike. I think you'd like it.
Okay, I think I will. I'm sort of a Johnny-come-lately when it comes to the YA novels and stuff. So I'm, kind of playing catch-up with a lot of these things ever since I started on this novel I'm writing. So I'm kind of devouring a lot of others. A lot of independents, a lot of independent authors. You can find a lot of these in libraries and their bookstores.
Now, is your goal when it comes to making movies, do you plan to make your movies from your novels or something completely separate?
Well, I would hope that most of my movies come from my novels. Come from me, and so I have this, honestly, and I've made attempts to, have somebody give me what they want me to write, their ideas and their concepts. I tried it it does not work. It doesn't go well for me.
Okay.
I've made attempts. It just, honestly, and this might sound a little arrogant or prideful, but there really is only one way to tell a story, and it's my way, So I mean that the way I mean that is because, it's very hard for me to write even my own stuff. If I'm writing somebody else's ideas, it's just 10 times more harder. I'm like, because, unless their idea is right in sync with what I was thinking of.
So you need to have somebody that's just kind of on the same wavelength as you, or
sure,
it's not going to work.
This is not going to work, right? Mm-hmm. So so that's in terms of movies. If I'm going to write a screenplay, for example, it's going to have to either be from my idea or from something I published. Whether a short story or a novel, or that person producer, whoever is giving me the task. We got to, and it needs to be something that I probably may have come up with, and they need to give me a lot of latitude. They need to give me a lot of room to breathe and put my own spins on it and stuff. So, you know.
You talked about meeting a friend of yours at church who was also into horror movies.
Yes.
Do you find that it's challenging to be a Christian and write horror movies and horror stories?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, not for me. And in fact, what's great, I'm very blessed to belong to a ministry that's very out of the box, you know. And
do you feel like they're supportive of what you do?
Very supportive,
That's
very
awesome.
supportive. Yeah, I'd say just about everybody. Once in a while, you know, Christians from other regions of our church, we have different, our churches have different chapters and stuff, you know, who are not used to that kind of thing. What, you know, they'll try to be respectful, but they're kind of quiet about it because they're just, you know, for everybody,
they don't
it's sort
understand what you're doing. They haven't read it. They haven't seen it.
It's kind of a Romans 14 issue and stuff. You know what? You know.
Can you tell them what Romans 14
well,
issue is?
Romans 14 is a chapter in the Bible. It talks about these kind of things where, you know, for example, you know, should a Christian drink? Should a Christian get tattoos? Should a Christian go out to gambling? Should a Christian watch horror movies? So Romans 14 tackles that issue, saying, well, you know, it's a very gray area. It's what's called a disputable matter. Mm-hmm. Now, here's one thing though. I had to be careful though, that I do not wear what I'm wearing here for the Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees to church. You know, I don't wear these to church functions. I don't, you know, wear my horror shirts, or I don't, you know, those kind of things, because I probably have about 50 horror shirts.
You have 50?
I think I have like 50 horror shirts.
50 horror shirts?
I do.
Mike.
Yes.
Why do you have 50 horror shirts?
I just love wearing, I just love advertising my love for horror, you know. I just love going to the malls or walking around the park and jogging. Hey, I love responses, you know. Just the other day I was at 7-Eleven picking up ice. And this guy was like, whoa, and he saw this shirt. I had this shirt on. He's like, that is cool. Where'd you get it at? You know, and it's a conversation starter. It really is, you know?
Okay, all right.
And I love that. But again, you know.
50. Where did you, tell me, where have you gotten all of these shirts? 50 is a lot. I thought I had a lot of t-shirts. I just donated some.
Oh, nice.
I probably do have a lot of t-shirts.
Yes.
But where have you gotten these shirts? Like, where are the top 3 places you get your shirts from?
Let's see here. Halloween Town in Burbank, Magnolia Boulevard. There's Blast from the Past. And then there's let's see here. I got this shirt at San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay.
You know, so it was a private shirt. Is a private shirt maker.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, there's one last one. There is Dark Delicacies, also in Burbank.
Wow, look at you. So is this like your treat for yourself, getting a new shirt?
It is.
Or is it just when you see it, you get it?
No. I definitely have to have a budget and stuff. I can't, you know. I mean, part of me, you know, wants to just grab it and stuff and nab it and grab it. And everything like that. But then I'm like, you know what? Let's do it next.
That was me with Star Wars shirts, and then I was like, I need to reel it in. Like, I can't even wear this shirt that many times, or you know, that often.
Yes.
Okay, so you're currently working on your novel,
yes,
and your films you said are coming out. Tell our listeners where they can see some of your short films or read some of your magazine articles. Where can they find all of this?
Okay, so my short films, right now, you can't see any of my short films right now. Unless you're in Pasadena next Saturday, you know, at 3:45 p.m. The reason being is right now we're going to... frames will soon be released on online. Me and the director have to talk about that because it's gone through its film festival run and everything. So we have to have a discussion of, but we want to have a strategy though. We want to just get it on Venmo or whatever platform we choose.
Vimeo.
Vimeo.
I mean, you can always have people give you money. Get it on Venmo.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, we want to have a strategy when we do that and stuff. We don't want to just put it out there. You know, there is a procedure you want to follow when you do put your stuff out there. You can check out trailers on my all the trailers are on my website, MikeLera.com. You can find all the trailers there. You can also find excerpts from my short story work on my website. Yeah.
And you have work on Amazon?
I do. I have a lot of my stories are on Amazon. Inc. It's
like, oh no, what's happening? I love that story.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. You can find
it's really creepy.
Yes. It's about tattoos for you tattoo lovers. You may not want to get you might not want to get a tattoo again after you read this story.
I don't have any.
Yeah.
I will not get one. Yeah.
Yes. So very, very George Romero, Stephen King-ish creep show kind of stuff.
Well, how exciting. I'm so excited for you. I'm glad that you have these short films in theaters right now and these film festivals. Yes. You can check him out on Instagram, Mike Lera. He's on Facebook. You can check out his YouTube, MikeLera.com. He's the website. And check him out on Amazon. So if you're a horror fan and you like to scream and get creeped out, this is the man for you.
Thank you.
Very talented. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, thank you, Tiff.
Appreciate I'm so glad. I appreciate your talent and how you go after your goals, It's so easy to think, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. But you're somebody who's like, I don't just want to do something, I actually do it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so inspiring. Thank
you. Yeah, it's it's definitely a journey. Far from done. More. It's still some work to do. But yeah, it's an awesome journey.
And I'm glad that you don't give up. Some people, they realize, oh, this is hard work. I don't want to do this anymore. And they just give up on their goals and dreams. But I've seen you throughout the years. You just keep going, you keep writing, you keep publishing, and it's very admirable.
Thank you. Appreciate that.